Welcome back to another interesting episode of my podcast, What the Heck Next? Today, I've invited one of the most wonderful, kind human beings that I know and a great actor. His name is Tyler Gallant, and I'm going to let him tell you all about his journey. Life has a way of changing our plans, the ones we never planned to change. And he is living proof of that. How we pivot, unfold, and rise up. Let's get into it. I'm Carrie Morrow, and I am the host of What the Heck Next? Today, my fabulous actor friend, Tyler Gallant, is my guest. He has a fascinating journey. He has recently been in movies called Bring the Law with Mickey Rourke, Maserati with Al Pacino and Anthony Hopkins, Andy Garcia and Jessica Alba, and Eyes in the Trees with Anthony Hopkins and Rhys Meyers. He has a fascinating journey. He was born in Boston. He made his way across the country and has always had that actor thing going on. His career is blowing up now. Hi, Tyler. Welcome to my show. I'm so happy to have you. This podcast is getting a lot of attention, and I thought you'd be a brilliant guest because you've had such an interesting journey. People always say to me, "Did you go to school to be a producer?" No, I did not. And sort of like you, like hockey was your life and your passion and your journey, but there was always that tug. So tell us, like, how did you get here?
Yeah, it was a wild story, as I think most of us in this industry have. I started actually when I was 7. My cousin Dennis Hurley, who has been in the business his whole life, he's a number of years older than I am. When he was in school, he was doing film projects for school, and he needed a young actor, a child, in it. So he
Wow.
just he just told me, he's like, "You're going to be in my movie." And I was just like, because I was playing, I was like a little kid. I was just playing pretend. And he just came and told me, he's like, "I need a kid in my movie. You're going to be in it." And at 6 years old, I didn't know what that meant. I was like, "Well, what do I have to do?" And he goes, "Well, I'm just going to tell you what to say and what to do. And you're just going to do it. And you're going to be playing pretend, just like you already are." So I did. I was like, you know what? This is actually kind of cool. And then when I got to see it put together, I was like, wow, this is awesome. So that kind of got me in love with it. Around the same time I was playing hockey, my dad was a former player, and my older brother played. I wanted to do what they did, and I played, and I ended up, when I was 9, I quit hockey altogether. I thought the equipment was itchy, and I hated putting all of it on, and I would rather be doing other things. So I quit until I was 12, and then I got back into playing goalie. Strangely enough, I was a forward first, and I became a goalie at 12. And I started playing goalie when my family moved to Arizona, of all places.
You played and that became your focus for quite some time. Like it got you out of the house pretty
hmm
early. Like you
hmm
left home at what age did you tell me you left
I
home?
left home in high school. I moved to
Right.
North Dakota.
Right, which
hmm
is pretty standard for hockey life, hit the road. And you took off with the hockey dream and you stayed with that for quite a while and were
hmm
very successful at it. What was your pivot?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I had a lot of good opportunities. I got the opportunity to play college, and then played some professional. And like so many others, I had a string of injuries, and my body didn't want to do it anymore. So I started thinking, okay, well, what other career path could I see myself doing? What else do I love? It was a no-brainer because I studied acting and film and all that in college as well. Well, the only other thing I've ever really done and I've ever really loved was film and acting. I called some of my friends out in LA that were in the business and were already kind of doing things, and I asked questions and was like, okay, well, where's a good place to live out in LA, and all the usual things. I ended up getting a call from a former player who had taken a coaching job in Simi Valley.
Wow.
And he was like, "Hey, Ty, I heard you were done playing. We actually need a goalie coach in Simi Valley. Are you interested?" And that's how it all started.
So you were not like you didn't hit like a low point where you were depressed and didn't know what you wanted to do. You just sort of smoothly transitioned to there's other opportunities. But you didn't cry a river over the hockey. You felt your body, you listened to it and you said,
Hmm.
I know where else I can have fun. That's really admirable. You just smoothly went, this looks like I could coach hockey and nurture my acting, and you did at the point where little after when I met you
Sure.
years back, where you were
Mhm.
like, "This is my dream." I mean, that's actually why we were introduced was because of the acting thing. The
Yes.
hockey actually just happened to be a common thread, but it was for acting. Our introduction was for what can you do to help him? I love watching you because you just keep growing and going, and every time I talk to you, you're like, "My resume's Baker, Baker, Baker." Talk to us about the kind of jobs you've gotten. You went from hockey coach, player, everything,
Sure.
hockey, to what was your first? What was the first, "I got an acting job"?
My first acting job, the first acting job I ever got paid for was a Barbasol hockey commercial. I was actually just at the end of playing. It was in Arizona. I just finished my last season and I was in the free agency stage. I saw that there was a casting for a hockey commercial that was for Barbasol. One of my buddies was the on ice coordinator for it. So he just reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, we're doing this commercial. I know you did some acting before. Do you want to do it?" I was like, "Yeah."
Wow.
So I jumped in. I did the commercial. At that point, I was like, "This is fun." And I saw for a national commercial, you can make some money. So I was like, "This is all right." Yes, that was my first paid job.
And you were in Arizona still.
Yes.
Okay. And so, California, here I come.
Yes.
Mom, Dad, I'm leaving again.
Again, when I went through my string of injuries, I stepped away from hockey. I was pretty down at first. You spend all this time, all this energy. Oh, I was in my 20s at this point.
Yeah.
So I had spent all those years moving to North Dakota, playing college, going to all the pro camps. At this point, it's like you put so much time into it. It was depressing in a few ways because as an athlete, you never want to think that you'll be the guy that injuries get, or
Yeah.
you'll be the guy that your body gives out. You never think you're going to be that guy. When it actually started to happen to me, I got kind of depressed because you kind of think you're invincible, especially in hockey. I mean, everybody's so tough. Nobody complains about injuries. People play hurt all the time. At this point, it was starting to be so consistent. I was like, maybe this is it. Maybe I do have to step away. And it was a little bit tough. It was tough at first, but that commercial was like, you know what? There are other jobs that I can do. I'm not just at this point in my life, I'm not just a hockey player. It doesn't define me. I can do something else. That commercial
Which,
showed
by the
me.
way, if you think about it,
Mhm,
you went from performing professional athletics
mhm.
to performing professional acting. It's all a performance. It's not like you went from being a computer programmer to standing in front of the camera. And by the way, that does happen.
Sure.
However, you were raised to be a performer. Isn't that what professional sports is about?
Mhm.
Performance and, like you said, pretending and identifying. That's the pain that a lot of people have in any industry right now that is they're losing their jobs. When you're 25 and you've done that for your life since you're 12, that is your identity. That's it. Okay? And you don't put a expiration on that. You don't sit and say, "Oh, it's going to end. My expiration, I'm going to stop playing at 30." You play until like some of those players, they're 40. They're like, "When are they going to stop?" You dug in and that was your identity. So of course it's going to hurt when you're going, "Who am I without hockey?" However, came here and you made it a really decent segue. Look at the segue you created, something familiar with something unfamiliar. You had the wherewithal to say, "I can make a little money doing what I'm good at and what I was a professional at, and start to lean into something I really want, my next thing, my pivot. You said something recently to me, which was interesting when I said, something about hockey. And you're like, I don't do that much anymore. When I first met you, that was 90% and 10% was the acting. What a blessing that it has shifted the other way, that it's starting to become your connections and your jobs and your casting is becoming 90% the other way. And hockey is the side dish. I'm so proud of you. I really am. I have wanted this for you for so long because I want for others what they want, whatever it is you want. And you put yourself in the mix and never left. You stayed and you stuck it out because you've also been here during a really difficult transitional, what the heck happened to Hollywood time. And you've never given up. You've adjusted. And what's the difference between of when you first dug in and now? It's pretty different. Like, talk about that. Like, there was jobs, and when I first met you, you were like, I know this one and this one and those. Where's that Hollywood? Where's that Hollywood? And what are you doing now?
Thank you for that point. You always have been so supportive, and not just for me, but I've witnessed it with so many other people in your life. You're always trying to help others. Testament to you. And it's really wonderful. You're one of the good ones. To that point, I know we've had many conversations over the years about, oh, this show is going, or oh, this movie's going. Look how many shows are happening right now. To all of a sudden, there's no shows happening, and every movie is being shot for the most part in another place in the world. It's the chase of the tax rebates and the chase of the tax credits, and
Well,
it's
exactly.
wild.
And remember, I was line producer, so I was only
Mhm,
money. That was
mhm,
my life.
mhm.
It's not just the chasing of the tax credit. When the world that you function in can no longer afford what you're trying to do in it,
Yes.
bye. Bye-bye. Okay. I went and made Saw 10 in Mexico City, by the way, because there was no SAG there. Okay? There's no SAG. I didn't have to pay union. By the way, it's not my money. I just do what I'm told. But you can't say to a line producer, how do you make it in Los Angeles? You can't compare it to anywhere else in the world. And so, yes, it is. Studio executives will tell you it's about chasing the tax incentive, but a line producer will tell you it's about, okay, where can we make iPhones? China. Where can we make
Cost.
movies? Anywhere but here.
Because
Okay.
it's cost. It all
In light of this thing that you've taught me a lot about, these vertical things, which I really never heard of, a big union, DGA, SAG crawling under the table to work on these non-union, no SAG, no DGA, $150,000 vertical productions come out of China to make them here. Look at China. How crazy smart are they? We're going to come right to the source, make the movies in the best place to make movies, and then we're going to take them home. They use all the resources. They're hiring non-union, under the table. No, they're not on the call sheet because they can't be listed. What happens? Like you get called for these movies. Is it awkward? Hi, come be a star in our movie with no benefits and no pay guarantee. You've been called. It's very confusing.
I'm asking around town, and I have so many friends, so many actor friends that are just saying that that's the majority, and even agent friends, manager friends that are saying that
Mhm.
the majority of the castings right now are all verticals.
Yep.
And you read about these now because now articles are starting to come out in tech journals or even some of the trades talking about how much money, the profit that these verticals are making, these apps and these vertical companies. It's staggering. And
Mhm.
then you start asking the question, if it's all about profit and cost, which every business is to some extent, but Hollywood big time. No wonder why so many companies are now trying to figure out, well, how do we get in the vertical space? I saw one article where it said China made over $10 billion
That's right.
and they're expecting 15 billion next year. The rate that these things are growing is absolutely insane. You don't see these kind of profit margins in any other form. You're making a movie for 150 to $300,000, and then you're making, some of these are making 100 million.
Yep.
It's like, how
It's ridiculous. I don't know that the movies are making it, but their streaming services
the
are making
streaming
it.
services make.
Somewhere around 2015, which is
Mhm.
now 30 years into my career, I get a call to do a $1.2 million or $1.4 million movie here in Los Angeles. I had done Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, The Wedding Plan, and all these movies that I had worked on, and now they want me to make a movie for $1 million. That's usually the size of my special effects department. I thought, okay, let's give it a try. And you know what? I made it. It was a James Patterson novel, and it was an independent movie. It was just a million something, and they then sold that movie
Mhm.
for $10 million. 10 million. And I made it for $1 million. When they said to me, how are you going to get away with this? And I said, I'm going to make it all non-union in Los Angeles, just like these verticals, under the radar, little bitty stages, tiny crew, meals delivered instead of big catering situations. And I got away with it. 2 non-union movies back to back for $1 million in
Wow.
LA. The strange thing to me is that I'm in the DGA 33 years and you're in SAG, but the cost of doing business is a union driven cost. And
Yes.
California is what they call a work at will state, which means you're going to work at the will of the people, which is union. You go to Georgia, it's right to work state. But now you can't work in this country. You cannot go anywhere without being union. Anywhere, coast to coast, north to south, you're going to go, you're going to be a union IA movie because they want the best for their crew and they want the benefits and they want the protections. But guess what they wanted? Wanted has left the country. Wanted is gone. And you're getting calls for these verticals or these productions, these no money things. And by the way, there's no residuals. You're
Mhm.
just a face. You're just a fill-in for them. You're a fluffer. You're just filling their need to fill their pockets. It's just unbelievable to me how genius that model is. The bigger thing to me is that it's not like they called Hollywood and said, you want to come to China and make these movies? They're making them right here. My friend just came off a movie and he said it was some version of hell. The director doesn't speak English and the crew doesn't know what they're doing, and everybody is unhappy because they're union and they're working non-union and there's no protections. You had the experience of being on really solid, big residual
Mhm.
productions. This new normal is they're in charge. I get it. All my friends getting called to work
Mhm.
non-union. One told me today, he's like, I'm listed on the call sheet as a consultant. Of course, because he's in the DGA. He has
Sure.
to be a consultant. He can't be an AD. I don't know what the fix is. I saw an article in the trades of 4 huge Hollywood executives that are going to try to start at verticals. Did you see that article?
Yes. The way that Hollywood knows how to make content is definitely different than what these Chinese companies are making these
Right.
for. You watch them, they are in their infancy, but you can
Right.
see the quality. The quality it's not comparable to
Yeah.
what Hollywood delivers.
Marketing to kids or
Mhm.
youth under
Sure.
25 that'll watch these things because I think you explained it so brilliant to me. Explain what you know, like they release it in 90-minute segments or
So each episode, it's like 1 to 3 minutes, I think, something like that. From what I understand, I've been asking all my friends that watch these or have seen many of them. I think a lot of the platforms will give you the first few episodes for free to hook you.
Mhm.
The rest of the episodes you have to pay individually per episode. You might get a 90-minute movie, but it's cut up into 1 to 3 minute segments, the entire project. It's a whole different formula. Every 1 to 3 minutes, the writer has to put a cliffhanger. There's a whole new writing formula that writers have to adapt to write these things because it's not like a traditional script where you have your 3 acts. This is
Right.
every episode has a cliffhanger, every one of them, every 1 to 3 minutes.
Movies historically are to generate creativity and
Sure.
acting and expression. And so now you're going, here's the prize. How do we get there? And at what cost? And the answer is at no cost. Story doesn't really matter. They're using the formula that kids scroll on the TikTok or the
I was just going to
Instagram.
say that
That's the
it's
same
the
formula, isn't it?
so it's generally the same idea. If you look at TikTok or Instagram, kids sit there and they call it doom scrolling, where you just scroll for eternity. You'll lay there and you go through these videos, and it's the same kind of idea. People that are on TikTok are making these small skits, small videos, and they're 1 minute long, maybe to 3 minutes long. And you just watch them. You go through the series of them. It's brilliant because they know who they are marketing to by making these. And that's Gen Z and Gen Alpha, I believe they call them. And that's that young generation. That's how they consume content, is vertically, they on their phone. It's brilliant business that they've figured out, okay, well, this is what the next generations want, and this is how they consume. So they just gave them what they want. It's just supply and demand.
I posted a story recently about when I worked with the Muppets in 3D.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that it was a 2 minute and 20-second video. And quite a few people wrote, that was a really long story. I was like, it was 2 minutes. Okay. You're talking to a movie maker. What was the point? It took 2 minutes to tell that story. Yes, it did for me. So, to tell a 2-minute story about when I got to work on the Muppets with Jim Henson. And it's fascinating when you go on TikTok and people say part 1 of my story, and then they want you to make part 2. That's what this is. They took the Latin American telenovela cliffhanger that kept housewives and people who sat and watched the Latin soap operas and keep them coming back and back for years. And they took it and put it into this formula and went one night stand mentality, $1.50 budget, and we got success. That's what
Sure.
these movies are. And they are making money. It's interesting because somewhere true filmmakers or studios just are like, poo poo. But it's not poo poo. They are dominating, and they are using our crew and our talent and our actors to profit from, and
I still want to believe, because I just finished a feature, big budget, huge cast, and we shot in the US. It was great. It felt so good
oh, yeah.
to be working and being part of the kind of movies that we have been making for.
Flew you and they took you and they paid for you and they picked you up at the airport and
Yeah.
a
And
real valid Hollywood experience, which is,
yeah.
I got to tell you, it's all I know. It's all I know. I read a fabulous script, the one I told you about, that vampire movie.
Mhm.
And when they said to me, what do you think? And I go, I think you should not make it here. That's what I think. Because if this is all the money you have, it's an unbelievable script. Go make it somewhere where you're going to get all your money's worth, because it's not here. The
Mhm.
unions and the visual effects and the special effects and the prosthetics and the vampire and the blood and all the stuff that goes with it, you gotta take it somewhere else. And that's heartbreaking to me. That is heartbreaking. I spent my life here. I was
Mhm.
a PA for Johnny Depp in 1984. I know the whole journey. And when I hear from friends like you or my other friends, this is all I'm getting called for, $200 a day. $200 a day. My PAs get paid more than $200 a day. It's SAG actors. They're calling upon SAG actors. That's like stealing to me.
What I was also getting at was, what was so nice this last movie, we got to actually shoot stateside. I was in Arkansas,
Yeah.
but all the movies prior to that, almost all of them were shot somewhere else, Thailand or Italy. You can shoot cheaper over there.
Happy to be
I mean, Italy's amazing.
no, I mean the part here,
Oh,
be to do a movie in the United States is such
oh
a
yeah.
novelty.
I have to say, it was really nice to hop on a plane and fly only 2 hours instead
Right.
of hopping on a plane and flying 11, or to
Right.
Thailand and flying 19 or 20.
Oh,
Just to hop on a plane and still be in the US. It was great. And the experience was amazing. Amazing cast, amazing crew, treated how you're supposed to be treated in Hollywood productions. And
right.
it was really wonderful. And not to say that the productions that I shot overseas, The Thailand one was amazing. And, you know, Maserati in Italy was amazing. There were two others that actually three. This was amazing. Last year, I shot Bring the Law with Mickey Rourke and Danielle Harris and a whole bunch of others, and Scout Taylor Compton, who's a brilliant actress, but also an equally brilliant director. It was her first feature as a director. It's a crime thriller, and we got to shoot in LA. That was so nice, getting up for work and just driving to a studio and you know, shoot.
Remind me.
I know,
I
and
don't
shoot
remember anymore.
and shooting on stages. It was incredible. I loved it. And then her next movie, same thing. She shot in LA again. She
My solution, or my temporary solution to it, is it actually can be done. I am pretty sure you can't make Maserati here.
No,
However, um, the
not with
script,
that budget.
for me, the script has to match the dream, which has to match the budget. You know, when they came to me and said, we want to make Saw 10 for 3 million, I was like, well, I'm not going to be here. And by the
Yeah,
way, they said in advance, you're not making that movie here.
yeah.
Okay. I have been here from the beginning. In the 90s, when the march down Hollywood Boulevard stopped, Runaway Productions, except we were stopping them from going to Georgia and Louisiana and Mississippi, not to Rome and Dubai and Saudi
Budapest
Arabia and
and you
Budapest
know.
and Mexico and Dominican
Mhm,
Republic. You know, when you hear that there is a way to make it here. You know,
mhm,
is it Arkansas? We want to work in the United States. I want it back. I want the Hollywood, the coffee trucks and the great caterers. I want the Hollywood that I know back. And I'm willing to create this platform. Please, let's talk about it. Let's figure out a way to make it work. Don't just go, okay, can't work here. Let's go to England. There is a way. If you want to be the studio, yes, the tentpole, the Marvels, and the Tom Cruises, maybe they can't make their stuff here. And by the way, they haven't for a long time. But there was an article in the Wall Street Journal that said Hollywood of the South, Georgia has completely dried up. Georgia, that Marvel was there and now they're gone. And Tyler Perry Studio, gone. Everybody has left the building. And there's a way. There's got to be a way. We can't just evaporate. I'm
mhm,
so excited that you've worked and you've gotten called for those exceptional
mhm.
productions.
And I'm right there with you. I want to see stateside productions coming back. I would love to see productions in California come back. I really would. I got to shoot 3 features here over the past
Right.
year and a half, and one of them I just shot, Isabel Paxad. It was also her directorial debut, and we just were an official selection of TIFF. We just found out a few days ago. So I've been very lucky. I've been very grateful. The last year, I've been on some really great productions, and it gives me hope that now that I've been part of it, I can see that it can be done.
It gives me
Like,
hope to hear you tell about it.
yes, features, 3 features in 1 year, all shot in LA. And I saw that it can be done.
I spent my life in the money, in the pit. I get
Mhm.
it. When somebody sends me a script, my wheels are just turning. I really like the models I've seen around the world. Believe it or not, Bulgaria. Do you know that in
Oh, yes.
Bulgaria, in Sofia Studios, they employ a crew? I mean, everybody from accountants to production to grip, hair, makeup, wardrobe, set dressing. Every single person is on payroll 365 days of the year, and they pay them much less because they have a full-time job. There are models that could be tried. Think about it, if something like Santa Clarita Studios became the factory, but your DP and maybe your production designer. And
Sure.
people would have a staff job, they would have full benefits, they would have paychecks, and it doesn't have to be that way. I'm hoping that maybe the government can do something that works. And by the way, life is a way of repeating itself and coming back and leaving and then coming back, but things have to change. The cost, and I'm not saying the cost of beef or gas, that LA is expensive, the labor cost because of the cost of living. There has to be an adjustment. I was told that there was recently a $1 million movie and the union flipped them. Well, what are you going to do with that? Nobody getting rich. Now, these poor people are going to have to pay into the union you flipped and they're gonna be in, and they're not gonna get enough work because these verticals don't hire union. It's like a bad way to fight a disease. What are we doing wrong and what can we change? Because I don't want you to work on a vertical where you're not gonna get big fat residual check or benefits or, or they're gonna take advantage of the hours or the rules or the regulations. It's not acceptable. There is a model adjustment that can be made. I want it back. I'm like you, I want it back,
I want
and
it back.
Mhm.
Hollywood was the birthplace of film in the United States, and here we
Yeah,
are. It doesn't exist. The idea of Hollywood exists, but Hollywood itself doesn't really
yeah,
exist anymore. And it's sad to see, but it did give me hope. Like I said, having made now 3 movies here in town,
yeah,
um, proper films, and I can see that it can be done. But, I have to also think, I went and saw that movie, Sinners in the theater.
yeah,
You see how many people turned out to see that film, and you see
yeah.
the amount of money it made, and here's a Hollywood production made in the United States that opened in theaters, and people showed up, and it made a lot of money. And then I saw an article by Warner Brothers that came out very recently saying that Warner Brothers made the majority of their money off of original IP, and Sinners and a few others that were original stories, and they did really well. Warner Brothers now said they're going to be focusing on creating original content now moving forward because that's where they made all their money this past year. Gave me hope. Maybe Hollywood is going to go back to making original stories rather than spending all the money trying to remake expensive IP like
Snow White,
Marvel or Snow
Snow
White
White,
or
right.
Star Wars, focusing on telling character-based stories, human stories, don't cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make.
The reason Hollywood came west was so that they could be free to make their dreams. The reason you came west, the reason I came west was because Hollywood offered a life, a lifestyle, a dream, an expression you can't get anywhere else. This is the
Sure.
dream. When people say, wow, like you live in LA, that's the privilege. That was the dream. I spent a very profitable, successful lifetime doing what I did. I have a successful brother who did what he did for decades. I like where you're at right now. I think it's really good. Now you've got roots. You've really grown some great management and great
Mhm.
connections. And remember in the beginning, I would say, correction, that, we need to put you with different people. And you did it. And I'm really proud of you. And I'm really grateful that you came on to have the conversation because this is where all the ideas happen. This is where
Excellent.
people will hear ideas and go, I want to talk to you. You have a good idea. I think it's important. It's important to speak. I think that we can't be afraid to say there's still a dream
Oh,
and
it's
I'm
still alive. It's
still alive and we're not giving up on it. You
no.
know, the director I met with today, he was so enthusiastic and he's going to be a guest on the show and so
Right.
excited. He said, which was that making movies now is different for him because it's so important for him to help people. I've always been that way. I have gotten letters saying thank you so much for putting me in SAG when they were my PA or my location manager. What I really want to do is get my SAG card. Okay, we'll get you in SAG. You know me. I will help whoever needs the help. And I pray that the universe sees that in me and in you. And I can't tell you how grateful I am for you, for your friendship, for your
Mm.
transparency and your honesty. It gives people hope. Wow, that actor spoke up, that producer said something. It's very important that we have the conversation because I will tell you, people are afraid to even, I don't want to know, no, don't tell me. Someone said to me the other day, oh, I spoke to my agent, and he said it's going to start to get busy. Okay, my agent said that in 22, 23, 24, 25. And I have big agents. I'm waiting for it to get busy. I will be part of that busy and you will go with me when I do. So Thank you so much for being on my podcast. Oh, I always say that life has a way of changing our plans, the ones we never planned to change. And
Mhm.
you are living proof of that. And you do it so gracefully. And I adore you, my dear friend Tyler. And the best is yet to come.
Well, thank you
So,
so much for having me on, and I feel the same way. I'm excited to make a movie with you soon. It's
you
gonna
know
happen.
what? And that'll be one of our podcasts
Yes.
live from the set. What the heck
Yes.
next from where we are? And you and I have planted that seed and it's
Absolutely. It's coming.
love you to pieces. I will see you soon, and we will plan our next podcast.
Sounds good. Love you
Thanks,
too.
Tyler.
All
Take
right.
care.
And you too.
Bye.
Bye.
I'd like to thank my guest, Tyler Gallant, fabulous actor, up and coming star, and once NHL player. He is a really good example of life has a way of changing your plans, the ones you never planned to change. Thank you, Tyler. Please like, follow, subscribe, and find me everywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, YouTube, Spotify, and more. I really appreciate all the support. It means the world to me. Look forward to more wonderful guests like Tyler.